All right. All right, once again, great evening, everyone. My name is Miss Kamula Tillman. I am the team lead fundraising, a part of the executive team, also a proud member of the Piscataway Township community. And I'm here to welcome you tonight to our statewide meeting. We conduct these meetings every month to let people know what's going on with ranked choice voting and how we here at Voter Choice New Jersey are continuing to make strides to bring ranked choice voting here to New Jersey. So once again, in an effort to keep in touch with everyone, we do have a sign-in sheet. So even though some of you are commenting, hi Larry, in the chat, if you could please, there is a sign-in sheet that Agnes had posted. We're going to repost it one more time in case you just joined. If you could please put your name and information in there that we can stay in touch with you, that will be great. Welcome, everyone. Got a nice showing here this evening. Thank you, Boris. Good to see you, Kaz. Ryan, nice to see you. Mark, Larry, Lisa, thank you all for joining us tonight. Helen, David, Dana, Catherine, welcome back. Hope you had a wonderful vacation. All right, our time is 7:33. We're going to start at 7:35. Just a few minutes from now. We usually start exactly at 7:30, but so many of you were waiting to get in and so much housekeeping wanted to be done so that we will not have to be interrupted with tonight's presentation. So in 2 minutes, we will start our statewide meeting. Again, if you have not done so, please sign our sign-in sheet and also introduce yourself in the chat. And also tell us, where did you hear about VCNJ? That's Voter Choice New Jersey. Put that information in the chat. A meeting is about an hour, so it's sometimes difficult to actually get to a dialogue with each of you. But just so you know, at the end of the meeting at 8:30, many of us will stay on to answer any detailed questions that you may have in case you have some follow-up questions in this presentation. All right, so it is 7:35 and we have April Nicholas who's going to tell you a little brief overview of our Voter Choice New Jersey campaign. So April, if you are ready, go ahead and let's share.
Absolutely. And Herb, can you share the slides? All right, excellent, thank you. So I imagine most of us here have at least a baseline familiarity with RCV, if not more than that. And we all have our various reasons why we support it. Very quick, in a nutshell summary is there's a lot of problems with our current election system right now, toxic polarization and hyperpartisanship, the public being driven further apart as they rush into the camps of the two major parties. And naturally, this all leads to government dysfunction and gridlock. And to make things worse, in most New Jersey elections right now, candidates don't even need the support of a majority of voters to win. So you might have a candidate with the support of only 30-something% of voters who wins, even though the vast majority of voters don't like them. And the fact that the two major party candidates are the only ones seen as viable also means that any other candidates who throw their hat into the ring are labeled as spoilers, and voters who favor those candidates are put into the difficult position of whether to vote strategically for a candidate that is not their favorite, or voting for their favorite and feeling like their vote is wasted. And ranked choice voting helps to address all of these issues. Next slide. So Voter Choice New Jersey's ultimate goal is to get ranked choice voting in place for all New Jersey elections. Given the inertia in government and how challenging democracy reform is to win, we know this is a tall order. And to reach this visionary future, we're going to need clear goals that will help make tangible progress on the path to RCV for all elections. So our two strategic campaign goals. One is to win a state bill to get ranked choice voting in use for general elections for all state and federal races. And two, enable ranked choice voting to be adopted for all local elections, including through the use of voter initiative. So two state bills with those two explicit purposes. And of course, it wouldn't be New Jersey politics without some additional hurdles to make things a little bit more complicated. I'll just note really quickly here that because New Jersey's constitution states that governor and lieutenant governor must be the candidates that win, quote, the most votes, the most as opposed to the majority, which is what ranked choice voting requires. Getting ranked choice voting in place for the governor's race would require a constitutional amendment. And well, that's definitely a worthwhile thing to work for. Our goal in the next 3 years is to make ranked choice voting the norm for as many elections in as many places as possible, so that New Jerseyans can start seeing the benefits of ranked choice voting straight away. And so for the time being, we're focused on winning ranked choice voting for all other local, state, and federal races, and the governorship will be further on down the road. So how do we do that? We know that democracy reform can be complex and the politics can be challenging. But ultimately, the way that we're going to win ranked choice voting boils down to this. We need everyone in New Jersey to know about it, to understand it, support it, and then to turn that support into action. And that's how we're going to build the support that we need to win at the state level and in cities and towns across the state. At the state level, we're working to introduce and pass 2 bills. The first one that we're working on right now is to enable ranked choice voting to be adopted for all local elections. Currently, New Jersey election law isn't written to allow locals to choose a system like ranked choice voting for their elections, so we need to open that up. And we know that we can convince state legislators to pass that bill by rallying support for ranked choice voting among local leaders, city councils, mayors, et cetera, as well as rallying support among the public in key towns and key districts across the state, as well as broad support across the state as a whole. So we're going to pass ordinances in different cities across the state to formally call on the state to pass that bill, or to get some concrete interest in the municipalities to use ranked choice voting in their local elections. And in doing so, drive that strategic effort to get the state to pass a bill that would actually let them to do that. And we're also identifying, specific local officials that are top supporters to engage them further to really help drive that momentum towards getting the state legislators on board. And what we really want is to bring ranked choice voting to as many New Jerseyans as possible, which is why local organizing is so critical. Because we don't just want to pass a state bill that allows RCV's use in local elections. We actually want to use RCV in as many local elections as possible. And so we're working with local activists on the ground in places like Jersey City, for example, to pass ranked choice voting for their towns. And using, legislative mechanisms like ordinances or, voter initiative, which just means getting a question on the ballot for voters to decide on directly. We know that getting ranked choice voting to be used for all state and federal races in New Jersey will be the toughest battle of the bunch. But as we're building power and momentum through RCV, through other parts of our strategy, we're also building the same power that we're going to need to eventually win that too. So all of the local groundwork that we do, all of the political support that we build for the first bill on local use of RCV will also be resources that we can activate for the state and federal races bill down the road. And our visibility and education work will get a great boost once New Jerseyans start actually using RCV in their local elections too. So just a little bit more on local organizing. Obviously, there's a lot to do. And thankfully, a lot of people who are excited to get involved, and even more people out there who haven't heard about this movement yet and will be excited to get on board once we reach them with our message. And much of the local organizing work is happening through town teams that are taking charge and doing the work in communities that they know better than anyone else. And our Voter Choice New Jersey teams will be driving engagement and providing support and access to resources and expertise and guidance to do the work as efficiently and effectively as possible. So if you are in a town that you think should be using ranked choice voting, definitely let us know, because we are out here to support you. There's towns that we're working in already, but there's a lot of ways that people can get involved. Small things, like circulating a petition or making a comment at a public meeting, or bigger things like organizing a local campaign team of other people who are also on board with ranked choice voting and actively lobbying local officials to get them on board. There's a whole world of opportunities, and if you're into it, we can help you out because we're working in a lot of towns and we have a lot of resources through our state teams that we're running at Voter Choice New Jersey. And I think that's probably where I leave off.
Yep, I'm gonna bring it up. Thank you so much, April. Coming up, just to follow along with the agenda, and we'll take time for questions and answer after the meeting, but we do have our fearless leader, Renee Steinhagen, who's just gonna talk a little bit more about understanding your city's politics and the correlation between that and ranked choice voting. So Renee.
Hi, everybody. I'm not usually the one who talks about, I'm going to help you to understand politics, but I'm going to try to help you understand a framework on which you can make some decisions about how best to intervene or get things moving in your particular municipality. The first thing that I think many of you are aware of is that in New Jersey, there are 500, I think 60 municipalities or 525. Someone can correct me in the chat. And there are different forms of government. And it's a historical function. The Constitution, the earlier forms of Constitution just gave the power to localities in our Home Rule Act and allowed these governments to form under different types of forms. So for instance, a pretty common form of government, which is old, is called a commission form of government. It consists of 5 people who are elected directly, but they're commissioners of different departments and they themselves elect a mayor. There's no direct mayor. Then we have a township form of government, which could be 5 or 7 council people, and how they get elected or it depends on the rules of the game. Another form of government is Faulkner Act, which many of you people know about, or the larger urban municipalities are organized under the Faulkner Act. And what's important about the Faulkner Act for our purposes are, one, Faulkner Acts, many of them have wards. So you have a direct representative just from your ward as opposed to the whole city council. But 2 forms of government in New Jersey allow the voters to initiate a reform. And that is the Faulkner communities as well as the Walsh Act, which is the commissioner form of government. So why is that important for us in RCV? Well, part of our strategy here is we want municipalities to actually adopt an ordinance that says we would love, if the state enables us to adopt RCV, we would like to be able to give that choice to our voters. And we thought that the many more municipalities that adopted such ordinances, we're calling them trigger ordinances. I would like you to know that the triggering event would be just that the question would go to the voters to decide. It's not that the decision would implement RCV. That's a very important distinction. It's part of our strategy that we think that voters should be choosing themselves whether they would like to adopt RCV, and that this is not something that's imposed on them. So first, in order to understand what is a potential form of activism in your municipality, the goal is to try to get the municipality to adopt an ordinance that would enable the voters to choose. The question becomes, do you just do it through a petition where you just get signatures telling and expressing that interest? Or are you able to design a petition that could force the municipality to actually, is that me? Am I the one who's creating that difficulty?
No, it's taken care of.
Okay. That could force the municipality to have a public hearing, and if the municipality doesn't want to adopt it, it could go on the ballot for the citizens. So that's the first question you ask yourself. The second question you want to ask yourself is, how many city council people do you have? That very often it shows you have to figure out how many votes do I have to get? How much is my work in terms of directly lobbying city council people. Of course, if you have a 9 council member board, you have to win over at least 5 of the council members, and that's a harder sell than in a 3-2, where you can win with just 3 if you have only 5 people on your council. Another thing that you have to question yourself is there any city council member who is interested? Because that's a real opening. Because what you could do then is you can meet with that city council person and you can strategize about the likelihood or not likelihood of other council members actually being open to RCV. And that's just an important question to have. We had the experience that in Hoboken, there were quite a number of city council people that were open, and they did the politicking themselves. In Jersey City here, which is a larger city, there is a former city council person and a council person who is quite interested in RCV. And we've met with that person to sort of discuss his view of how we should strategize and how we should approach other city council people. Something else for you to think about is, what's the tradition in your municipality? There are some municipalities where city councils hold public hearings about matters of interest to the public. And there are other city councils where I understand that's like a complete taboo. They would never even consider doing that. I do know that I was involved in a public finance campaign down in Ocean City once. And though it was a Faulkner Act where the municipality, where the activists, the residents that were active on the matter were not interested in doing a petition, they did lobby and they did get the city council to hold several public hearings before even considering whether to pass a local public financing law. So that's another thing to question yourself. What's your actual tradition? Another very, very, very big point is, what's your ability to get other residents involved? It's really an issue. The question is not only is the council accessible to the public, but are you going to have to deal with this yourself? Or do you have a small group of people who are willing to, one, educate other people in the community, maybe circulate a petition, even if it's not an initiative petition, but just a petition that is formal, maybe looks like an initiative petition, but acknowledges that it's not something that can be forced to the ballot. So these are really the different things that, as you're pondering your capacity to get something going in your locality, these are the things that you need to think about, and hopefully you'll have at least 3 other activists that you can sit and think about it and strategize on the approach that you would like to adopt. Now here we in Jersey at Voter Choice are very willing to help with that discussion and are very willing to help with some resources, both in drafting of petitions, holding public hearings, developing flyers. Right now we're developing a flyer that is specific to Jersey City, meaning it's not just the rhetoric of, and I don't mean rhetoric in a bad sense, but the key points of pros and cons, the pros of ranked choice voting, but rather going into the election history in Jersey City and how they've had runoffs almost in one ward for the last several elections, municipal elections, and how with the employment of ranked choice voting, we would be able to obviate the need to have runoff elections, which are expensive. So we're willing to work with somebody, and we welcome anybody who's interested in picking up the ball in their locality. Yes, there are key localities in terms of, who lives in the speaker's district, who lives in the Senate president's district. But we're not at this point able to strategize that way. We're really looking to just send the word out and create activity in as many municipalities in New Jersey as we can. With that, I will end, and hopefully there'll be some questions directed at what I've had to say.
Yes, thank you so much, Renee. We're going to continue with our meeting for tonight, and we're going to have a discussion of our organizational outreach by Amber. Amber, you want to go ahead?
Hi, everyone. My name is Amber Saravia. I'm the live outreach lead for Voter Choice New Jersey. Herb, you could just put the slides up. That would be great. Cool. Yeah, so organizational outreach. Why is it important? It's essential because as many of us, are part of the community, we're not part of all of the different organizations that are within a city or a town. These organizations, they have different relationships with, politics in the city, different relationships with different community members, and they have an in-depth understanding of the city as a whole. And so it's crucial that we get connected with these different groups if we want to push ranked choice voting forward within a city. Another great thing about organizations is that they have a large volunteer and supporter base. And so we're able to connect with those supporters and those volunteers within those organizations and gain traction and hopefully get them involved within our initiative. And lastly, local organizations hold power and influence. Many of these organizations have been well established for years and are respected by many within a city or town. And so if we're able to get connected with different groups within an area, it definitely helps us and pushes us forward as a new initiative. And so what kind of groups, should we reach out to? There are an assortment of groups that we've been reaching out to, some being faith-based. I know we did a few speeches and presentations at different churches across New Jersey, and that has been quite successful for us. As many of you know, faith-based organizations bring an assortment of different people to one space and hold a lot of respect in different cities and towns. And so if we're able to interconnect and grow a relationship with these groups, that will definitely help push forward our momentum and initiative. Another, possible group is political. I think that's pretty obvious. We're definitely working on voter reform. And so there's going to be a lot of political organizations who would want to hear us out. Definitely a lot of third-party groups, who are looking for a change. And so if we're able to connect with them, that will really push us forward. Cultural, there's definitely a lot of cultural groups within cities. Of course, it's dependent on the city, but we want to interconnect with them as well. And then lastly, service-based, less issue-based. These groups have a strong focus on community and pushing the community forward. And so if we're able to connect with them and build a relationship, that will be helpful. And you may ask, okay, we have all these different types of organizations we could reach out to, but how do I research and get connected with them? That could be done going forward. I'm happy to do a training on how to research organizations so that we can build a momentum in your local city. There is, of course, social media is one of our best avenues, connecting them through their different Facebook pages and Instagram accounts. And so if anyone is interested in specifically working on researching organizations within your own city, definitely reach out to me. I'm your guy. And then Herb, if you could just put the slides back up. I don't know what happened. But yeah, so those are some different groups that you could reach out to. And then reasonable asks for collaboration with an organization. One main ask we've been doing is to get a speaker at their local events or meetings. These meetings are already well established and are put on the calendar for these different organizations. And so if we can just ask them to allocate 15 or so minutes to a presentation, that really makes a huge difference for us and interconnecting with the community. A lot of these different organizations have, as I mentioned, a high volunteer and supporter base. And so one presentation can connect 40 plus people in 15, 20 minutes. That's huge for us, Of course, other outreach work is essential, but to do one presentation with that many people, we're able to engage so many folks in such a short period of time. And so definitely, I think that's one main ask we should do when we're reaching out to these different organizations. Another big ask is a letter of support. And so right now we've been focusing on that. We actually have different organizations who've filled out the letter of support for Voter Choice New Jersey, some being New Jersey Libertarian Party, New Jersey Appleseed, Soma Action, Represent Us, the New Jersey chapter, and a few others. And so we definitely have gone through that avenue, and we're ready to continue building support and building letters of support, because that showcases that, you know, these organizations agree with what we're doing, and support us in our initiative. And so if we can get more organizations on board, that will only help uplift our movement. And then, of course, you know, volunteering with us, we need as many volunteers as possible. We are a grassroots initiative. And so there's a lot of different avenues to volunteering with the organization. You know, everyone has a different expertise. And so if we're able to share the different possible routes of volunteering with Voter Choice New Jersey and getting them on board our different teams, I think that's crucial, because we need as much support as we can get if we want to continue pushing forward the movement here in New Jersey. And then lastly, donating. You know, it takes funds to push forward the movement. And so if an organization can't help through, you know, volunteering or having a speaker at an event, if they can provide financial stability for our organization, that is greatly appreciated. And even if the organization isn't legally allowed to do that, if, you know, individuals within the organization can provide donations, that is greatly appreciated. And I think going forward, if we want to really progress and push forward the movement, we need to be asking people, you know, for financial donations. I know it's a hard ask, but it's needed, and it's really essential for our movement. So those are some information. That's some information about organizational outreach. One thing that we actually did for this meeting, we have a co-sponsor, and so one way of pushing forward the movement is to integrate other organizations within our meetings. As I mentioned earlier, you know, volunteers and supporter base from organizations helps uplift our movement and connects us to a greater pool of people. And so I would like to introduce our current co-sponsor for today's meeting, Brian. He's the president of New Jersey Forward Party. And so Brian, if you'd like to say a few words, I'd love to have you talk.
Yeah, appreciate that. Hey guys, so Brian Varela, I'm the state lead for Forward NJ. I am also the onboarding lead here at Voter Choice NJ. And look, we support RCV because our system is currently not working. The things that Amber just went over are so vital, and I'm going to explain why. As of June of this year, Congress has a 16% approval rating. 16. That means that less than 2 out of 10 people are happy with our government, yet there's a 94.7% re-election rate, right? That doesn't make sense. And ultimately, it comes down to the fact that our system is absolutely broken. It's evolved in a way that is just not representative of where we are. So the reason I joined the Forward movement is because when it comes to being to my vision of this world, it's not about how conservative you are or how progressive you are, right? It's about recognizing that we need to push democracy reform so that we can truly elevate our best and brightest to represent us in government and ultimately come to the best ideas for our country. A lot of the strategies that Amber just shared with you guys and gals are the grassroots things that need to take place for us to start seeing the change that we ultimately need in order for our country to remain where it's been, and hopefully we can get it back in that direction, right? Look, the system is broken. If you're unsure, look up the numbers I just shared with you. And that is why we support ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting is a more representative way of voting, and it's a step in the right direction. I'll go ahead and hand it over now, but I wanted to give a quick thank you to all those from Forward New Jersey who attended. If anyone is interested in learning more, we are just now working on building the movement here in New Jersey. And we want to spread the message. I'm going to drop a link. Please feel free to sign up. When you do, you'll also get an automatic email. If you want to chat further about what Forward's doing in New Jersey, please feel free to book some time with me on my calendar. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to the next presenter here.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you so much, Amber, and for all of those who have presented tonight. We're going to continue with our statewide strategy meeting. And once again, for those who are just joining us, welcome. Please make sure that you drop your name in the chat. There's a sign-in sheet. Also, you know, we need to continue to make this possible, there is a donation link and we'll talk about that later. So to talk about our outreach pitch training, we're going to have Amber and Barry, and we might do a little breakout room. I'm not sure. So Amber, Barry, do you guys want to take it away?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, so-
Amber,
Sorry?
just tell me what breakout rooms you need and I'll set them up for you.
Okay. In just a little bit, we'll go out and breakout rooms since we have such a big group. It'd be great to practice our pitch in a smaller group of folks. But yeah, so we're gonna be working on a pitch so that when we all go out and do live outreach work, we feel comfortable and ready to go. Just curious, how many of y'all done, canvassing or live outreach work within VCNJ or another organization? If you want to just like put a reaction up or raise your hand. Up to y'all.
Raise hand this way.
Cool. Yeah, so good amount of y'all. Happy to see it. But don't worry, if you haven't, we'll do some training here today, so we'll get you feeling comfortable and ready to go. So why live outreach work? Why is it so important, Why do I have to talk to a stranger on the middle of the street? Live outreach work is essential for our organization to grow. We want to be able to, interconnect and build relationships with the public. And we want them to understand what ranked choice voting is. From my experiences personally, about half of the folks I talk to, they don't know what ranked choice voting is. And so if we want to really push this movement forward, we need to talk to folks. We need to educate folks about what ranked choice voting is, get them informed, get them excited, get them to volunteer with us. I want to share a little story about actually how I got involved with Voter Choice New Jersey. Back, I guess, my sense of time is a bit off, but I guess it's been, I guess it was fall of 2020. Yeah, I think it was fall of 2020 when I first heard about Voter Choice New Jersey. I definitely cared about the issue, but I didn't know of any avenue of involvement here in New Jersey pushing forward ranked choice voting. And so I was just actually at a local event in New Brunswick. Didn't anticipate running into someone working on the issue, but there was a table at the event and saw ranked choice voting, somewhere along the table. And I went up, talked to a few folks. Don't think, maybe Herb was there. I'm not sure. I know Veronica was there. Veronica doesn't seem to be on the call today, but yeah, I definitely talked to Veronica about ranked choice voting and what Voter Choice New Jersey was doing to push forward the movement. And I got super excited because I already knew about the issue. I knew I wanted to get involved in some shape or form. And I was given the opportunity to sign up as a volunteer right there and then. And so there are people out there, who are passionate about the issue, who want change, especially now with all the issues occurring in our daily lives. People are tired of the system and they want something new. They want something that will better the democracy we have in place, push it forward. And so this is the perfect opportunity to go out in public, go to local events, go to popular streets, talk to folks one-on-one, hear them out, hear what they have to say, and bring up ranked choice voting as a solution. And so I'm definitely grateful for Veronica and I believe Herb showing up to that event, because now I'm here, leading the live outreach team. And I think if we all commit to a few hours a month even, we can engage more folks just like myself to become a leader and to become a volunteer within the organization. And so I'm really excited to do this pitch training because this is a great opportunity for us to really just strengthen our skills and get ready for live outreach action. So when it comes to live outreach work, we bring a few materials with us, one being the script. So the script is right there. I believe Herb just put it on the screen. And then we also bring a little palm card. I'm not sure if anyone has it today near them. I feel like Barry always does. No? Wow, that's surprising.
They're in my car. They're in my car. If I can run to my car, I'll grab one.
I should have texted you to but on one side of the palm card, it's going to be a sample ballot. So what we like to do is we like to rank our music. I think actually Renee's grabbing one. Oh, someone else has one. Larry, cool. Cool.
I dropped that
So people are
box off
showcasing
with
them
Larry.
right
He's
now.
got it. He's got it.
So they're very nice. We were able to get them professionally printed. So they came out super nice and they're perfect for public events and engaging the public because as I said, one side, we have a sample ballot, rank your music. A lot of times, people aren't super enthusiastic about politics. And so if we were to just write candidate A, candidate B, candidate C, most folks would be like, I'm not really into it, honestly. Or they might not even understand. Versus rank your music, I would say generally, the public loves music and they have different genres that they, can get behind. And so it's a perfect avenue for us to engage, the general population about ranked choice voting because most people have different genres that they like and they have a favorite, they have a second choice, they have a third choice. And we rank things in our daily lives. We don't really think about it, but we do it all the time. And so why don't we rank our candidates when we go out and vote for an election? And so it's a great point to make when we're talking to folks to get them to think about, things that they do on the daily basis and how it connects to ranked choice voting and the movement. On the other side, just says a couple of points about why it's beneficial to the system. And so it's easy, understandable, and then there's a QR code on the bottom with our petition and our social media accounts so that people can, say they don't remember our name, they can look back at the flyer, look us up, or say, someone's in a rush. They're able to look us up later and engage with our material on our different social media accounts. So that's some points on our materials. And then we tend to bring out a contact sheet of some sort. It depends, of course, on what city or town we're doing the work in. For Jersey City, we've been bringing out the initiative petition and then a separate contact sheet where we can gather information. As some of you may know, initiative petitions, there's no place to put phone number, email. And so we still want to connect with folks via those contacts. And so having a separate sheet ready to go for people to fill out is definitely helpful and essential. Generally, what we've been doing is we've just been having a petition where we can put contact information right there and then. And so it's not separate from the initiative because we didn't have initiative petition. We just had one sheet with contact information and the petition, which made things simple. But of course, if there's a town or city that folks want to do work in and go forward with an initiative petition, we can get a separate sheet ready for folks to gather contact information. So that's some information about materials. And of course, we want clipboards, pens, a hat, say if it's a really sunny day, because outreach work does, we're in direct sunlight, especially for the summer months. And so definitely got to be prepared for the weather. But of course.
But you also can get a nice tan.
Or if you want a nice tan, no hat necessary, no hat needed. But yeah, generally, we like to make sure all of our volunteers are well prepared for the weather. Because definitely going to be standing outside for some time. So that's usually a part of our, and we have a mask. I forgot about the masks. I haven't been using them too much recently, but yeah, we did make masks for our live outreach work. And you could see there, Barry and I are with our masks at a local Newark protests ran by Larry Ham. And so we were there advertising Voter Choice New Jersey. I think a few people came up to us wondering what we were doing and who we are, given, our matching masks and our logos on the masks. So it definitely is helpful. And oh yeah, we got it from Rutgers. Definitely is helpful in engaging the public. And yeah, I like those masks. Those are pretty good. And of course, if folks want a mask to do their live outreach work, we can meet up and hand them out to folks before they go to a local event or.
Yeah, they're in the car with my cards.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so we definitely have a lot. So if folks want them, let me know, let Barry know. We're ready to give them out to folks. And cool. So I think that hits some of my major points. We would love to go into breakout rooms to, first do a read of the script and then practice a little bit with one another of how a situation could possibly go about. I definitely think practicing is helpful because as much as we know the topic, sometimes talking about it with just regular folks can be a bit challenging. So if we can just discuss some tips with one another and practice best language, I think that we can get ready for future live outreach events.
Okay, Amber, if you want to set up breakout rooms, how many do you want? And how are we going to set those up? We haven't discussed that earlier.
Yeah, so we could just do 2 rooms, and then one group would be with me and one group would be with Barry.
Okay,
Yeah.
in a
Go ahead.
particular area or county or ward, they're not going to be for ranked choice voting.
Right.
The, because it doesn't.
Because they lose power, Agnes, that's what you're saying.
Huh?
I mean, I think,
They would lose power.
that's probably the default assumption for most of us. I will say that when it comes down to it, ranked choice voting ensures that the most popular candidate wins. And
Right.
Yes. Yes.
if an elected official that's currently in there genuinely is the most preferred by their electorate, they're still going to win because that's what their
Exactly.
voters want. So
Exactly.
if an elected official, knowing that it's
Mhm.
still against ranked choice voting, it's not because ranked choice voting is a bad idea. It's because they don't think they actually have the support to win fair and square.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was just gonna say that, April.
For
Very
any of
good
us that know local officials that maybe just don't really understand ranked choice voting and just know that some elected officials somewhere aren't fans of it, it's worth us making that clarification that, hey, if you
Right.
actually are
right.
the most popular candidate, you'll still win.
point. Mhm.
It's really the party bosses that won't like this, because they're the ones who want to control who the candidates are, and they need to be puppets of them. And they don't want to see this because obviously people will actually be giving choices instead of columns. And that's really what it is. But you got to get to the people that really want a better world and a better government. They're the
I
people that
agree.
will support it.
And I think that might be a better answer to from our breakout room to the question, what do you say? My party doesn't, instead of saying these are the stats, just say something like that, like,
Mhm.
your party boss doesn't like it because he doesn't have support of the majority of people.
Mhm.
Okay, let me just break in. If anyone has any questions,
Mhm.
especially our new folks that are here today, they don't have any questions or comments, concerns about what we've gone over today.
I thought of something earlier on in the presentation that in Howell, they're planning to have a big Howell Day celebration. It's like in a big park, there's vendors, rides. It's a community event. How I was going to reach out to Larry and see if we wanted to maybe set up a table where we could, hand out literature and engage with the public. And then I was thinking, is there a game or something that we could play with, some young adults where they have to go around to the thousands of people that are at this fair or festival and, maybe get petition signatures, but not someone's full name, address, and everything. It's just like a first name.
There is a
And-
game, actually.
Yep.
Yeah, and like it basically what they're trying to do is that they're all like, I think you get the idea of where I'm going with this, that, that the contest is to see who can get the most votes, and then basically have everyone come back to the table at a certain time, and then like we tally them up, and like we go through like an RCV type presentation to show how it works.
Mhm.
Renee, you're smiling. You see where I'm going with this? You like it? You're muted.
Oh, you're muted, Renee.
I think if you take it outside of politics, you can have a lot of fun with it, right? And it's, where everybody, if you have enough runners to go and approach people and get them to rank something, whether it's the food at the event or, something immediate that they're engaged, and then enough attention that they're there when you make the official announcement and count it. Because there are programs that we can make sure that you have, that you get the input of the data, that it can immediately do the tallying for you. And you can announce it and then do a plug for Voter Choice New Jersey and the ability, and is this something that you would want to do in our town? And just leave it as such and see if this is a way that you can gather some interest in your own town. And, we'd love to help you, Mark. That would be great.
Thank you.
But I don't know what it should be. Amber likes music. I don't know what would happen. What is there something in how, like, is there something that people like or dislike? Rank certain things in Howell itself.
Mhm.
I would think that at a festival like that, you might do like the food trucks. You know what I mean? Like there's like, there's 7 food trucks, rank them in order of like, your most preferred to least preferred, something.
And then work out with all the food trucks that whoever, that, something that they.
You gotta be careful. You might make some enemies with the people
I
coming.
know, I know. I was thinking that.
I'm sorry if anyone's speaking. I'll wait.
No, go ahead, Ryan.
Interrupt everyone. Okay, so I was thinking, since I'm talking about going to the county fair, someone said, "Hey, something about trucks. So let's do which one's your favorite." Now, what I was thinking is we do something like that for like something like a bit more comical but serious, like ice cream or food of any kind. Something that'll like get people's attention.
Mhm. Good idea, Ryan. Good idea.
I like that,
And
Ryan.
have a card, because I would like to bring this when I go to the fairgrounds.
Ryan, my question is, I've been to a county fair up in upstate New York. There are all the animals, there are competitions between the animals, right? The 4-H clubs and things like that. And I'm wondering if one did a little research beforehand and spoke to some of these people and got somebody to agree to have their competition work on if they have a panel of judges, that they rank these things instead of just voting for the best one. I'm just sort of.
Sometimes cars, they have like car shows.
Yep.
That
I
might
haven't
be.
thought of it that way.
That might be harder. I mean, but you'd have to get, it's to show that we rank, there's competitions going on in all sorts of things, and ranked choice voting is just a method of electing what somebody thinks is the best. And so it would be interesting. I'm not saying it could be, if you could try to get hold of whoever is in charge of a particular competition at one of these county fairs and get them to adopt ranked choice voting as the way they're going to rank their cows or their sheep or whatever they rank.
That's
Well,
a
I
great
just thought of
idea.
something that could be funny and amusing, and I'm sure you guys would all probably agree. You could do a karaoke contest and find 4 high school or college kids to sing the same Bon Jovi song and then rank who did it best.
Yeah.
And I think that could be very entertaining, and it would be a good way to tally the votes. Just
And,
something.
and it's a great way to approach it, like Renee
Yeah.
said, maybe not politically, but to people to understand the concept really very simple, that it's been complicated by those who oppose it. So this is a great way. This is meeting, and I want to just be respectful of everyone's time. We want to continue to share, give feedback and ask, but we do try to keep our meetings within an hour. So before you all leave, I know we have Chris on the line. Chris is from South Jersey. Ryan, I saw your enthusiasm from the beginning of this meeting about getting involved. So I want to talk to you all, and not just you two, and particularly about the next steps. So with ranked choice voting, we want to bring that here to New Jersey. So what can you do? Well, join a team. Ryan has already volunteered. Looks like he's ready to do some outreach. So Ryan, thank you for considering that. You can also join or start local action in your town. Dana, we have been trying to get to Princeton, and if you're still on here, please connect to myself or April or Amber so that we can kind of talk to you about some ways that we can possibly do some outreach in the Princeton area. You can also write a letter to the editor. You guys don't understand how powerful those are. Sure, yes, you do, because you've read them or you probably wrote one. Writing a letter to the editor in your local newspaper or even something bigger on a blog post is very, very, very influential in allowing us to get information about ranked choice voting into the hand of those constituents who vote and those who don't. We have been running a petition, all right? And that petition is designed for us to get people to sign it, to support our petition. I will actually have someone copy and paste that in the chat so that you too can keep a copy of that. Sign it yourself and maybe pass it on to the organization that you belong and represent. And most importantly, donate. We need donation to support our work. Now, ranked choice voting here in New Jersey is still fairly young, but we've done quite a bit. But there's such a big role that we still have to travel, and that's going to cost money. You heard about the mask. You heard about the t-shirts. Well, those things that we'd like to out and use to continue to garner support cost money. One of our goals here with ranked choice voting for New Jersey is to get a part-time organizer that will be able to do a lot more of the legwork that we as volunteers are not able to do. This is not just a moment, people, it's a movement. And I know you, like me, recognize that this country is so divided, and ranked choice voting does quite the opposite. We don't want to divide. We want to work with other groups. We want to collaborate. We want to share. We want to talk to each other. That's why the different organizations that you heard Amber speak of have joined with us, because they not only believe that ranked choice voting is the key to electoral reform, but they understand that it's the key to building relationship and unifying us to one cause. This is a simple, cost-effective change that is proven over and over again to make democracy more fair, more representative, and more functional. And one of the missions here at Voter Choice New Jersey is to give New Jerseyans the choice to use ranked choice voting in a lot of their municipal elections and to build the groundwork for statewide adoption of RCV. Do you really want RCV to come here? Maybe you want to just volunteer with your time. But we are trying to look for and increase the number of sustaining members that join ranked choice voting and believe in its efforts to bring ranked choice voting to New Jersey so that we can give people a greater voice. I remember reading a quote by Malala Yousafzai, and she said, when the world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful. Voter Choice New Jersey is the only voice right now that we have, along with a few of our alliances and organizations that are joining with us, that makes us powerful enough to change the electoral system. We feel like David sometimes fighting against these giants of Goliath, but this can work. This will work, but it can only do so by your support. So I'm challenging you today to help us to reach our goal by getting a part-time organizer. Help us to reach our goal by increasing our membership of sustaining membership, those who make donations on a monthly basis, whether it's $5 a month or $50 a month, because you believe that Voter Choice New Jersey is the answer to New Jersey's electoral system. So in the chat, if you haven't done so already, I'm going to encourage you to put in a donation. I personally continue to try to pledge $50 a month for the year because I believe in ranked choice voting. I believe that we need a part-time organizer to help us to continue to push this movement forward. So my mom always tell me, if you're gonna be about it, put your money where your mouth is. If you are a part of an organization, a corporation that does matching donations, please, by all means, put your name in the chat, make a donation, and see if they will match that. We need financial support to continue to maintain, to sustain, and to aim towards our goals. So I thank you again, everyone, tonight for coming out and joining Voter Choice New Jersey. I continually wish and pray that you all have continued success in your individual towns and organizations. But most importantly, we need you to be a link in this change. So join us. Please make sure you haven't done so. There is a sign-in sheet. If you didn't do it, we're going to post that again. And we're going to also post the donations link so that you can make a donation. And that is my meeting, our meeting for tonight. But please stick on. We love talking to people after the meeting, getting ideas, suggestions, and things of that nature. So if there are no other comments, we're going to stop the recording in a moment. And we're just going to have an open session of just dialogue, conversations, and ideas, but not without you making a donation. So again, thank you for joining us. Our next statewide meeting will be next month, August. I believe it's going to be, let me check my calendar, August possibly the 15th. We're still going to keep to our summer sessions and our statewide meetings being on Monday, but please put your name in the sign-in sheet so that we can keep you abreast on that information. Again, thank you all for joining. And if you have to leave, have a wonderful evening. And those who are standing on, come on and talk to us.